Hey folks, this is Gutsy here, bringing you my TI6. Sorry, not TI6. TI8 Day 6 main event recap, the final day of TI. As everybody should know, OG won it. They beat LGD into a 5 full games to make it so, and LGD beat EG 2-0 just before that to get themselves in the grand final. So I put up these images because, the one on the right, not so much, but the one on the left where Sebastian's kind of just like holding no tail, and it's like, this is real. Like he's more happy, it looks like, for his teammate than himself, even though Sebastian has had his own problems. And before I get into the recap of the fights and stuff, there is some little off-topic things I want to talk about. I remember when I first was on Arteezy mod and that, and Sebastian was just one of the hated people. You're just supposed to hate him. And I think he made a remark towards Arteezy. That was before Arteezy was kind of established at the time. And I never even liked Sebastian at the time. But then as the years kind of went on and I realized, who are actually scummy people in Dota and who aren't, I realized that Sebastian wasn't a scummy person. And I really started to like him. And he was a coach, and a lot of people still didn't like him and stuff, but I liked him at that time. But I actually had a little paint image I created that I went back. It took me a long time to find. It was actually it was just a stupid image of me basically showing Arteezy over Sebastian for the comment he made towards Arteezy, and I deleted it because it reminded me that I used to be one of those haters on Sebastian for no reason, and he's come a very long way for what he's done. And I should have deleted it years ago. I would have, but I totally forgot about it until now, and I'm so glad that I remembered. It was like a way for, I don't want to say God, but a higher presence to tell me that it's time to, he's earned himself, definitely. You need to get rid of this. So I did, and I'm really proud of him. I'm proud of everyone on that team. Anna got the boot. I guess it was for school. He went back to school, but I'm pretty sure he got the boot. And then he came back last minute. After he got booted, he came back still with really no proper training to help this team in a time of need. Sebastian, as their coach, had to play for them because they couldn't find people at the last minute because it was just, too close to TI when S4 and Fly left, and they had to just make do. And Jerax is just extraordinary. No Tail is great. Thompson, another person. No Lance, no prior experience, basically. And he wins. He wins TI, his first big Dota event. And he wins it. That's insane. It's insane. And there's so much that's perfect with this story. They broke the Chinese even year tradition where normally a Chinese team wins. They beat their rivals. They beat the Chinese team twice. So I kind of thought of this like DC when DC had to fight Wings, but they didn't do it DC. They won it. So they managed to. It wasn't just like luck. They earned it. Right out to 5 freaking games. They were down. They won the first game, lost the next 2, and then won the next 2. That's intense. That's just intense. And at that time, the most down part of their game was in game 4 when they were losing. And then the only lane that was going good for them was Sebastian's. And on Axe out of all heroes. And Axe is a good hero, but he's just something that you don't see in pro scene. And people are like, oh, he's going to fall off and whatever. And he kind of did. But, he did it. Sebastian had all these comfort picks. Wyvern offlane, Treant offlane, Magnus. It's like his most spammed hero in pubs as of recently. Who plays Magnus offlane? It's almost like bad Axe in a way, but they did that to finish their game 5. I'm like, what? Shouldn't you be picking Axe? Shorter cooldowns and everything, but they picked the Magnus, gives the farming acceleration to Anna. So even though No Tail definitely deserved it for the whole betrayal story. If you don't know what that is, I mentioned it in a past blog. I'm not going to do it for this one, but he was betrayed, and it's great for No Tail, and he's also in the same boat as Sebastian. You know, people just don't like him. I've never not liked No Tail though. The only person I didn't like on this team at one point was Sebastian. That was a long time ago, like 6 years ago or whatever. But I'm so glad that I changed my mind, probably 4 years ago or whatever. And I'm really glad that I remembered about that pick so I could delete it, because he's a winner. Even if he wasn't a winner, I'd still delete it. I'd probably delete it if, well, there has to be some acknowledgement, right? Like, he had to, I'm not saying he had to earn me deleting his picture, but by bringing himself this much to the front screen, you can't ignore it, right? It was something I forgot about. And then he was constantly there, that it reminded me, hey, you used to be one of these haters, bud. You need to, like, he's proven himself. You need to fix things. So that's just a side unrelated thing. I'll do a quick little review of the games. As you can see here on the bracket list, first game was EGLGD. We could go to that match right here. So game 1, Ame gets the Spectre, and it absolutely destroys. Whew, it murders. The main thing this game, though, was the maybe Somnus. It did the most. LGD really like their enchant picks this series. I don't like Undying. I think Undying's a really bad hero. Actually, it's funny. Before this tournament, I thought he was amazing. Like, I thought he's like one of the best MMR climb heroes. He delivers so much, but the problem is, a lot of these teams that lost just lacked a lot of stuns. Like, look at this draft. No stun, 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 no stun. So they had 3 stuns, but over here, no stun, 1 stun. No stun, 1 stun, no stun. So when you have a Bane on the team, all you have to do is grip one of these cores. They have 1 stun on their entire team. And I think you just need to have either an equal amount or more than the enemy. And Undying is quite an early all-in draft. So it didn't, I don't know, it didn't suit it. I didn't like it. Sumail got shut down extremely hard too. He was in the jungle because he was getting clobbered in lane by this Tiny, which is an achievement in itself. But then Fi, roaming Earthshaker, he made sure Sumail didn't get anything. The minute Sumail was shut down, that was it. That was it for them. It was basically just up to Arteezy, and he's just not going to do it when he's getting gripped by X-Nova, you know? Game 2 was very awesome. I love this game so much because they do the first pick Spectre because they realize that Spectre has won so many games this tournament. It's time to just grab him, get him. That way, Arteezy, no matter what, has the late game presence. We saw Arteezy Spectre before. But LGD brought out a whopping new heroes. The Warlock and the Luna. And oh my goodness, did it ever... The Luna did really bad, but he just... he farms faster than a Spectre, so eventually he just gets BKB, and they get one good team fight, and they win the game pretty much just off that one good team fight. Maybe did super well. He had an excellent Kunkka. Chalice and Fi also did really well. X-Nova, it all came down to this one fight. I probably should YouTube video it, but I'll let you guys do that. One fight, everything went perfect. Luna ult hit everybody perfect. The Chaotic Offering hit everybody. The boat... The Terrorize, I'm not sure the Terrorize did. It was all perfect. And Sumail on Necro, that's not a Sumail hero. He's a playmaker. Timber, yes, he has his farm heroes like Alchemist and Tiny, but he still makes plays. He buys Blink, he goes, he stuns and stuff. Necro just doesn't feel like that hero. And I mean, they picked Necro. There's a Luna. Like Luna, without BKB, you just blow up on Necro. I'm actually so surprised. I was so shocked when they brought this Luna. No one even pointed out. I'm like, yo, this is a massive Necro counter. I'm surprised people aren't picking more of Luna, but it showed. She was really squishy and died a lot. Fly's Chain Frost were pretty good. S4, though, it felt like S4 really didn't do much. I think both series he didn't do that much, but Veno's a harder hero. Mirana, I don't know. Yeah, that was that. and then you have the OG LGD. So game 1, this was sick. The effing mad Treant. It didn't really win the lane. The main MVP of this match, they got the Ana Spectre, but it was mostly Thompson. And Thompson, I find this tournament actually did pretty poor most of the time. His Invoker lost a lot. His Pugna didn't do too well. His Zeus didn't do too well. But the thing is, Thompson always has impact even when he loses. But this game, he won. This was just Thompson putting on a clinic. There's a reason why people ban the Thompson Monkey King. Like, they ban his Arc Warden and his Monkey King. And they're okay with his Invoker and other heroes because he loses on them. But the Arc Warden, he doesn't lose on. And the Monkey King, it got previewed. We see why. I think he does better on his Monkey King than his Arc Warden. He jump in and stun into an ult, which I've seen in pubs. But normally, in a pro game like this, I know you want to burst down your opponent's ASAP, but you kind of want to get those 4 Jingus before you use your slap, right? And he just was all about that quick burst. He didn't give a shit about that. It's kind of like when you watch the bots do Axe Dunk and not, like, do it properly. Like, they just do it for the extra damage, not to solidify the kill. That's basically what Thompson was doing. But effing Mad made it so towers didn't die, and that just provided room for Ana to farm. Kind of like if they had an Alchemist on the team, same thing. And Jerax Earth Spirit and Phi Earth Spirit, you do not want to fuck with. Somnus got his... The other scary part of this, Somnus got his freaking Storm, and they lost. Like, he got clobbered. So, very... The Phi Elder Titan did a lot of work, but it just wasn't enough. Game 2, LGD wins this one. Effing Mad was pretty non-impactful this game, which is surprising for him. Which is why I kind of like him on the Wyvern and Tree. It's kind of like him and Jerax share the 4 position when it comes to farm. They both split it equally thing, but this, he gets more priority, and it just, I don't know. I questioned about giving the Enchantress this game, and the Enchantress is what mostly won this game for them. Phi had some okay dunks and stuff, but he wasn't actually as big of a contributor as he normally was. Somnus just went to work. They absolutely crushed this Invoker. It was another scenario of Thompson just not doing well at all. Disruptor was a neat new pick, but it didn't do anything. Not when you're getting run at. Game 3, they also lost. This one looked very brutal. Thompson did really well actually on Morph, but it just wasn't enough because every other lane was getting crushed. Mostly Jerax and No Tail were just constantly dying. Draft looked kind of good on paper, but the Alchemist ruined it. And Phi was the MVP. Phi did, out of all the players, I think Phi did probably one of the best. It's kind of upsetting that he didn't win because he kind of deserves it, but the rest of his team was questionable. Chalice had some good plays, especially on this Brew pick. They just brought out of nowhere, and it did really well. Ame also played the carry Weaver. But I think the MVPs this match was Phi and Chalice. Somnus just eventually got farmed, and yeah, but Chalice and Phi made so much space. And he went Scepter on Chalice on Brew, which is kind of cool. Showcasing that he's just there to click buttons and murder. Game 4, they pretty much, OG do a pretty much near duplicate draft other than Axe and Wisp for the Morphling and the Lena. And they actually got clobbered, but effing Mad had a great lane, and you know, this game I said, not this one, sorry, this one, where he had his Underlord, I said, like, you know, he needs a hero that helps the team. Usually he's like Tree or something that no matter what could help. His Axe delivered. The rest of the team was getting shut down, but he made so much space to bring Thompson back in, because Thompson lost his lane again to Maybe. But, I mean, Bloodseeker's a counter pick in a way to Invoker, and just clobbered. And then Thompson, he rarely even plays Exort in his pubs, if you check his games, as the panel stated. But he was doing Sunstrike combos with effing Mad, which helped them get online, and all they needed was just to get online. And then, like, this draft doesn't deal with Phantom Lancer. It just doesn't. And they were doing some crazy plays. Jerax was tethering clones to make them focus the clone thinking it's Ana. And Ana was doing his clone micro so that they chase a illusion instead of himself. It was very, very invigorating to watch. Mostly effing Mad, definite MVP. And this game, they had the win. Otherwise, they were out of the tournament. So effing Mad, in a way, even though they were getting crushed in all the lanes, he won the game for them. He single-handedly stopped OG from exiting the International. And the Enchantress really fell off. Like, this game, the Enchantress was going crazy, but this was the support Enchantress. Just didn't do anything compared to the core Enchantress. Fi had excellent snowball staves. Like I said, I don't think there's ever a game where Fi does bad. I think the worst was he had some mediocre Earthshaker games. That's it. But his Elder Titan game, his Phoenix game, his Tusk game, excellent. He did so freaking well. Ame felt a bit underwhelming this whole series. Because game 5, he got his favorite Terrorblade in that. This game was the most underwhelming, I think, for LGD. Moral definitely was kind of out the window from the last game. And Thompson lost his lane again on Zeus, but I was really worried with this OG draft. I thought 99% OG was losing, just based off the draft. NP's had some really bad success, but I know No-Tail likes his push support heroes. Jerax, though, we know he's good on Rubik, but Rubik in a 2-1-2 meta, not the greatest. We saw Crit play it. Crit and Jerax are very similar players in a way. But Jerax had a ton of ship boat steals that were just fantastic. I was really questioning the Prophet and Rubik because they gave up the Earthshaker, and I'm like, why didn't you just give Jerax the Earthshaker? And Rubik, yes, I get it, he could steal his spells, but I really questioned it. But I figured out what makes OG so strong. The 2-1-2 meta is early and mid game. That's what 2-1-2 meta is, and OG prioritized late game. They just realized that, especially with LGD, I think they realized they couldn't win the early and mid game like LGD could. That's what LGD planned. That's what they practiced. They practiced 2-1-2 meta perfectly. But late game, I think that's where OG trumps. They had a lot of late game knowledge compared to other teams, and they just took it late game. In this game, technically it wasn't late game, but they took the same approach of utilizing the heroes so that they would benefit more later on than early. Like the Rubik, like the Prophet. I was super questionable about giving up Silencer. I thought, if they had Silencer with Magnus, that'd be sick, but mostly because effing Mad won't be able to skewer back. And they have like Zeus, Rubik, those heroes need to be using spells. The Silencer really made me worried. But effing Mad, boom, he didn't even care about the skewer this game like last game. Last game, he really prioritized that skewer. This game, he just cared about blink alting. That's all he wanted to do, and it worked. The main tipping point of this game, even though they're losing, was the Rosh fight. LGD just invested too much in that Rosh, and they didn't get enough out of it. Thompson, he got crushed in his lane by the maybe Kunkka, but it didn't matter. He scouted out smokes, and that's the thing with Thompson. It's kind of like they gave him heroes that no matter what, he's gonna provide, even if he loses his lane. Not saying Thompson's a bad player, but I think he got a little too heavily prioritized and whatever. But effing Mad played a ton of he's got all these crazy heroes, but he played a ton of the Magnus. Like, he's got so many pub games of Magnus, and it really shows. He just knows the strength of the hero, and you give Anna the Ember. That's his comfort Ember that he lost the last TI with. But No-Tail gave it to him, obviously, and he's like, here you go. Here's your perfect redemption. You either go out again a laughingstock as another Ember lose, or you show that this is your best hero. And Anna, I'm not giving him enough credit because the other people need to enable him on his team, but out of all the games, he showed up. Maybe the one they lost where he was PL, I think he was a little weak there, but they lost, whatever. The next one, he definitely showed. Fi, not the greatest echoes. He had some decent ones, some 2-mans that were pretty clutch. Ame did really poor this game. Nova had really good silences. He knew exactly when to silence. And what was surprised... Oh, Chalice did really well, too. And that was another thing. I'm like, if they went silencer, they'd probably not pick back. Because... whatever. But the thing is, when you're fighting LGD and you fought the silencer, you fought the Kunkka, you fought the Bat, you fought the Terrorblade, you fought the Earthshaker, you fought these heroes. You at least somewhat know how they work. When you're fighting Rubik, Prophet, and Magnus, and especially Ember first, Ember, like you're not as well adjusted to these heroes, and it gives them the slight advantage. But maybe they really focus maybe, and I thought that was a mistake with the Rum. I'm like, this is a tanky hero. You really don't want backup coming in, but it worked out. They burst him quick enough, and that just a bunch of times, and it just worked out. So OG win. Out of all the games, I don't think anyone's gonna disagree. Game 4, effing mad is super MVP, like super duper. This game, I don't know. Jarek's had some really nice steals. And No Tail with his push heroes, basically, the reason why he goes push, I find No Tail in a lot of games is kind of lackluster, but he goes like Chen and Prophet so that he can push. So if they do win a fight, they're guaranteed to get a tower with their lineup. And that way you don't have to draft a core who's push related, like Clinks or whatever. But look, you notice one thing about this meta in this best of 5 grand finals? The 2-1-2 kind of got blown out of the water. It was still there a bit, but it got more focused on roam, and there was even at one point try on try, like in the Gyro Wisp game. So it was really nice to kind of see the meta of the Wraith King, the Ursa, and all that just go away. It was still a bit there, as you could tell. The Zeus, the Silencer, but other than that, these heroes are all kind of like they were a meta formed at the main event of TI, more so, not really groups and stuff like that. So, and the Ember, Zeus, Magnus, that's like the core bread and butter for when they were qualifying for TI, what they did to win most of their games. So it worked out. They finished with a bang. It was perfect. I have another video I made. I might upload it. It's got a lot of swearing and me chimping out, but I kind of wanted to show the end of one of my chimp outfits, especially for TI, just to see, just to showcase what it means to me. Obviously, I didn't record the full extent because I could really get invested and hyped about it, but I just thought maybe I recorded it. I'm like, maybe I will show it. Maybe not. We'll see. So you'll have to look out for that. Yeah, OG. This is the best TI. Hands down the best. I've actually been to TIs. I saw TI8 EG win, but, you know, EG's so corporate, and that's kind of like what America is, but it's almost like a role play. I don't know if they're serious or not, but you could tell, you could feel the genuine friendship amongst OG. This isn't, especially this squad, because this was just a last minute squad. Hey, we're gonna go for TI. We're probably not gonna go anywhere, but you want to join us on this run, just have some fun, see what we could do, and then they win it. Like, that's what it feels like, rather than EG. It's like, oh, I'm Sumail, I'm the king, or oh, I'm Arteezy, I deserve this. I'm not saying he says that or any of it, but OG's a team that you want to cheer for, not just because they're your region or anything, because they're not my region, but they're, as cheesy as it is and as beta or homo or whatever, it's friendship, and I'm so glad they won that. So that's my recap of the day. I'm trying to think if there was any interviews. I forgot some yesterday, which I added in the description. The cosplay contest, I added that in the description. I never said who I liked the best. There were so many good ones, actually, and I really like this year's cosplay because most prioritize the, I'm trying to word this politely and nicely, let's just say the woman aspect of cosplay. But this one appreciated the cosplay aspect of cosplay. So some people weren't happy with that, but those dudes get frig off, because this was the best, in my opinion. There were some super good ones. Oh man, I can't even decide what's the best one. Who won? It was the Sven. I think that's appropriate. That one there was so much effort put into it. It looked way too professional. So I probably would have went with, well, you can't go with a different one, otherwise people would, you're rooting for the best. That was the best, but you could tell the ones that were made by the people, and I really liked those. Some of those were super good. So, not saying Sven's wasn't, but Sven's looked super professionally done. Like, lots of experience, lots of professionalism to it. What else? I mentioned about Enigma. I really wanted Enigma. I thought OG was going to lose because they weren't going to pick Enigma. And EG, they're an Enigma team. I was surprised they didn't go Enigma. I think if EG went Enigma, they would have had much better drafts. They kind of just like they picked the Spectre because it's like, oh, every team's winning with this. LGD wins with it, so let's just do it. But I wanted more an EG-esque draft, not just to copy the meta draft. And OG showed it, Do your own thing. That's what EG needed to do. It would be nice to see an EG-OG Grand Finals, especially if OG won it. But I'm super satisfied with this too, obviously. I predicted LGD to win. I did. You could see I think it was day one video. I had it way before then. I'm like, no one was talking about LGD at all. They're totally off the radar. And I've said this in my past day blogs. I'm like, guys, there's always a low radar Chinese team. Always. Always, 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 always. This is China's year for winning TI. LGD is the team. I'm like, they got sponsored. So obviously, PSG put some research into which team to sponsor, and they thought LGD was the best. And obviously they're right. They came freaking second. No one's really going to expect OG to come out of nowhere. So can't blame them for that. But they probably did some stat research, and based on it, they're like, okay, this team's going to do it. And I'm like, I told people, I'm like, guys, off radar Chinese teams, but no one even thought about it. Now, like when I was watching some interviews of just what people's thoughts of LGD were, they're like, wow, they're so good. They came out of nowhere. And it's like, yeah, but they didn't, right? You should have knew this prior. The fact that you just know this now is surprising, because if I could figure it out, then you can. I'm not a Chinese fan. I don't just root for Chinese teams. I just knew. I had a feeling. I'm like, they're pretty good. They're going to do it. They're going to go far. And I thought they were going to win the whole thing, but I'm so glad actually that OG did. I put LGD to win basically, but my heart wanted OG, and OG did it. It was freaking awesome. There's just so much, the Naruto Sasuke whole thing. It's so good. And back to what Crit said, he's right. Two better teams did come out of this. It was a scummy thing to do, but he's definitely right. EG is a better team. I think they got a much better result than anyone would have expected, because prior to this, they were having some really bad results with Fear still on the team and everything. But now, boom, top 3. There's nothing to be ashamed about that. And OG top 1, definitely nothing to be ashamed. That's enough. If I remember something, I got to put it in. The late game thing was cool. They made the champagne opening a lot easier and better, and yada yada. Matu was in the audience watching. I thought that was really cool. I wish more pros did that. Just join the audience. Talk to people. There's going to be the odd dickhead, but fuck them. Talk to the good people. It's really cool that Matu just, rather than chilling from his VIP booth or whatever, he just joined the audience. That was sick. So yeah. This reignited my spark for Dota. So yeah, it was so good. So good. Anyways, that's enough. Thanks for watching. That's the end of my TI8 main event recaps, day 6. And hopefully I'll see you guys next year. Maybe not. I actually was planning on quitting Dota after this, but I think I gotta keep playing now. The new heroes, my sparks reignited. OG, man. Gotta play with some friends, so see you later.